Right, it's getting in. I mean, that's the very. Yeah, but Denise is going to coordinate. I'll tell you what. Denise was going to coordinate and she was going to get back to us when we were going to have supplies to CD. Because Timothy couldn't make it. The October meeting. So all that was unfortunately changed, and that's so the process still. So the question is process.
That's not my
call. Well, it has to be approved.
Yes.
Eventually, it would come with our recommendations. That's required board I don't know, so I can't.
I mean, you're going to find out next month. Finance committee meets 3 times. Time.
I don't know, it's their job.
Well,
They're the elected officials.
I would.
I don't have to present it, I don't have to prove it, but I can present it to
Finance committee. At your next meeting, when you have it, you can
What's that?
have the auditor present the report to you.
We're talking about process.
Yeah. Could everybody please have a seat? Thank you. I will call this meeting to order. It's Village of Kempton Hills, November 7th, 2023 at 7 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bogner?
Here.
Trustee Burson?
Here.
Trustee McKelvey?
Here.
Trustee Millette?
Present.
Trustee Morgan?
Here.
Trustee Muncy? Present. President Woody?
Present. Okay, all rise for the pledge, and Carmen, can you lead us?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, public comment.
Kim Muir?
Evening all, Kim here again. I'm just here to make a public comment about my public comment last meeting. I have talked to the village clerk about it. There is a little bit of a discrepancy in the summary of what I talked about. The first and foremost is the spelling of my last name. It is actually M-U-H-R. And no fault, that's a common misspelling of my name, believe it or not. But the first bullet point, the third sentence where it says, hopefully it's not VPN, that statement I made there was, hopefully it is VPN and not RDP, which is remote desktop protocol, which is not anywhere near secure. So being in IT for over 30 years, I wanted to make sure that statement was correct. So what I'm asking is that you put in for an amendment when you go to potentially vote for the minutes to be approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kim. Next. Public comment.
Michael Dwyer?
Thank you. Three comments. Thank you. Last finance meeting that was held, as requested by our chair, who happens to be here tonight, John Olson, that the audit report should come to the finance committee first, and then the audit firm would present to us, and then the finance committee would then make its comments and recommendations to the board, along with the final audit package. I know, Madam President, you were present also during that particular meeting, so I don't know whether you're baffled why the audit is going straight to the board tonight, given the fact that the chairman had requested to go to us, and that you were also present at that, so let you guys handle that. Second, as a member of the finance committee, I would be recommending to the board that you restrict the use of in-person legal representation at every board meeting, and limit it to essential topics only, or an infrequent use, in other words. Every executive of the village over the history has moved at one point or another to be more prudent in the use of the legal representation at every meeting. I would strongly suggest, as a member of the finance committee, that you adopt that policy also to reduce costs. It's really not necessary at some point, especially with some mundane topics on the agenda, to have a lawyer always present. It's very expensive, so I hope you guys would consider that. 3, I know tonight there is the question of another squad car on the agenda. I don't know if this is in your normal cycle right now, that was developed years ago, or not. But I would also recommend that the group, as a member of the finance committee, would potentially use the other squad car that has been parked out there for approximately 6 months and could be out there for another 6 months. I understand the fact that, why Chief here is not using it. He has a K9 and it's not set up for a K9. Then put it in the rotation with the rest of the vehicles. If the current matter at hand gets resolved, then bring it back up to the board to decide on whether you need another squad car or not. But it's a wasting asset right now sitting in the parking lot, so I'd recommend that you put it in with Fleet and then table the topic on, if that's where you've been going, purchasing another squad car until such time as it is appropriate. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Anybody else? Okay. We'll move on to Lauterbach and Amen audit presentation.
Hi, good evening. My name is Monica Dansky. I'm from Lauterbach, and I'm sorry for any confusion when it came to the board presentation. We were asked to come, so we're here, and hopefully I can answer any questions you have when it comes to the audit. I'm just going to walk you through 3 pieces of required communication as it relates to your 4/30/2023 audit. I wanted to start off by thanking the board for having me today, and I also wanted to give a special thanks to Tim for all of his help. An audit does require a great deal of additional time and burden placed on everybody involved to get us all of our requests and provide all those in a timely manner. So just wanted to report that we did get everything we needed, and we did have a seamless line of communication to get this audit wrapped up. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the SAS 114 letter, that the primary purpose of this is to convey whether or not we had any disagreements or difficulties working with management. So again, I'm happy to report that we did not have any disagreements or difficulties, and you'll find that in the body of that letter. I'm not sure if you have the actual report in front of you. On page 4 is the independent auditor's report. This report states that management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements, and then it's our responsibility as the auditor to generate an opinion on those financials. This year, the village did receive an unmodified opinion. That is the cleanest form of opinion and the highest level of assurance we can give as the auditors that the financial statements are free of material misstatement. In the report on page 8 through 15 is the management discussion and analysis. We call that the MD&A. This is a great narrative summary of the fiscal years, of the village's fiscal financial highlights. We know that the financial statements are always difficult to read, so this does break everything down nicely into charts and graphs and gives a high-level overview of everything that happened within the fiscal year. On page 26 through 27 are your fund financials, so ultimately that's what the village budgets for on an annual basis. So you'll see about halfway down the page it says net change in fund balance. That's ultimately your operating income or deficit for the fiscal year. So the general fund did have $816,000 of a change, positive change from the prior year. Motor fuel tax as well, $397,000. Capital projects had a decrease of $89,000, but then again, that's due to all the beautiful additions that happened to the building and those capital asset additions. After that, the notes to the financials, that's just going to be a very detailed overview of everything that the numbers we just talked about. And then in the back is budget to actual for just to compare for your budgeting purposes. Lastly is the management letter. So this year, there's just a few current year recommendations, and those are all GASB pronouncements that we will work with the village to implement. Road and Bridge had funds over budget, and then GASB 87, which was had to be implemented this year, just notes that that was implemented. Any questions?
Any questions or discussion on the audit or for the auditors? Okay, hearing none and seeing none. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Anybody have items to remove from the consent agenda? Ed?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to remove item B, the warrant list. Item D, the appointment of someone to the Plan Commission, and item F, the motion to accept the 2020 audit.
Okay, any others?
Yeah, I'd like to remove item A in the minutes.
Okay. A, B, D, and F. All right, I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of A, B, D, and F.
So moved, Muncy?
Okay,
Second.
all right, second by McKelvey.
Excuse me, are we excluding E? It's just F, right? Yes. So
No,
it's
C, I think
No.
we're voting on C and E, right?
Correct.
We're voting on C and E.
Correct. Okay, roll call.
Who seconded?
McKelvey, yeah.
Trustee Muncy,
Aye.
Trustee McKelvey,
Aye.
Trustee Bodnar,
Aye.
Trustee Burson,
Aye.
Trustee Millette,
Aye.
Trustee Morgan.
Aye.
Okay. All right, motion to discuss a consent agenda A, motion to approve the meeting minutes of the October 17, 2023 Village Board meeting.
Yes, I'd like to have the minutes be amended to what was, I think you took the copious notes, Tracy, on the changes that need to be made to correctly represent what was said in public comments at the last meeting.
Thank you, Jim. Do I have a second?
I second
Okay, second by Trustee Morgan. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Muncy,
Aye.
or McKelvey, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Trustee Morgan,
Aye.
Trustee Bodnar,
Aye.
Trustee Burson,
Aye.
Trustee Millette,
Aye.
and Trustee Muncy.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.
All our trustees change their last names to begin with the letter M.
Yes.
Yeah, really?
We're gonna get some M's to some B's.
All right, B, motion to approve payment of bills per warrant list, number 24-11. Motion to remove it from our consent agenda.
Yeah,
Okay,
I asked to remove that
Okay.
for simple reason that there's one invoice, actually an invoice and a companion invoice on pages 6 and 8 that just have so that can be reviewed. It's it's a invoice from the township VCH 231019 and VCH 231019-1. We just want to have that reviewed by the township, that's all. Otherwise, I would move to approve all the payment of all bills on the warrant list besides those two specific invoices.
okay, any other discussion?
Should retotal the number real quick. Think, Brett, we should retotal the number real quick.
three total, the number of,
Take the warrant minus those two that you went off it.
What pages was it, 6 and 8?
in the handout, the packet we received is page 6 and page 8, for those two specific items.
Any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
So we get the number first, Madam President.
Two, three, 1, 0, 1, 9. Two, three, 1, 0, 1, 9, and then 2, 3, 1, 0, 1, 9.
Is it the amount that?
1420.
Is that,
54, 832, 67.
Okay, so that's in the warrant number? Then I would, did you move yet or
Yeah.
okay.
for that number?
No, not yet.
Okay.
So I move to approve the payment of the bills for the warrant list, 24-11, without the invoices of BCH 231019 and BCH 231019-1 for the full amount of, to be read by,
54,832, 67.
I'll second that.
Excellent. Second by trustee Millet. Roll call.
Trustee Muncy.
aye.
Trustee Millet.
Aye.
Trustee Boatner.
Aye.
Trustee Burson.
Aye.
Trustee McKelvey.
Aye.
Trustee Morgan.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. We'll move to D, motion to approve and consent of the village president's appointment of Mike Curtis to the Plan Commission for a term to expire September 15, 2025. Moved by Ed
Yeah, I
Massey.
pulled that one, mainly for the reason that I'm extremely appreciative of any resident that is volunteering for any of our commissions, so this is wonderful. However, I just, typically, we would have had this in a discussion item where someone, for example, would have said, this person has attended a number of meetings of the planning commission, of the chairman, in this case Chairman Johnson, feels that he or she would be a good fit, we've interviewed them, and my understanding is we haven't heard anything about this individual. Again, I thank him and anyone that is put forth like this. I think it's wonderful, but we need to hear why they're qualified for that role.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Just a
Yeah,
quick
trustee
add-on to
Kelly.
that. I just think it's good practice because I don't know the gentleman, I'm sure he's great, but I just think it's good practice and something we tried to do in the past.
Okay. All right, any other discussion?
I would, I guess I'll move to, table this until we can hear from the planning commission and zoning board of appeals
Okay.
on their thoughts on whoever has interviewed this individual and their qualifications.
Okay, and I will scan and send to all the trustees his application. Okay,
You made a
So
motion?
I've made a motion.
I'll second the motion.
okay, roll call.
It's just a table. Just a voice.
A voice vote to table.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, it's tabled. We'll go to F, motion to accept the fiscal year 2023 audit.
I requested to pull that one as well.
Okay.
I too recall, thank you, I too recall that the finance committee had requested to see this first, and that it was approved that would occur. We greatly appreciate everyone on the finance committee and your expertise, and we would really appreciate your willingness to view this and allow us to know, if you have any recommendations or thought on it as well before we approve it. So with that being said, I move to table the motion to accept the fiscal year 2023 audit until our finance committee has had a chance to review and comment on it.
I'll second it.
Okay, second by trustee McKelvey. Any other discussion? No?
Chance motion table.
Okay,
All in favor?
yep, all in favor say aye or nay.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to 7, staff reports. Treasurer? Staff report today?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Turn it on.
The October financial statements will be presented at the next board meeting. I do appreciate your attention given to Lauterbach and Egan as they presented this report. In regards to the comment that was made earlier by Finance Committee member O'Dwyer. He is correct, we did agree to have the Finance Committee look at the audited financial statements presented by Lauterbach and Amon first. We had scheduled that for, I believe it was the 25th of October. That meeting was canceled, and then we also had this scheduled with Lauterbach and Amon. It was difficult to get Lauterbach and Amon scheduled, so we just kept this on the schedule for you to see it. Because ultimately, it is the board that needs to approve the audited financial statements. Mr. O'Dwyer is correct, that was the process we did agree to. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Any discussion or questions for our treasurer? Okay, moving on, Police Department, Chief Moran.
All right, this isn't my monthly report, so I'll try to keep it short for you guys. I have no stats or anything for you. October was busy, all community events. Officer Hat, Coda, myself, and CERT members took part in the trunk or treat event for Rising Lights Project on October 28th. Phyllis Nowicki, who's a resident CERT member, helped organize the entire event. It was a huge success, large turnout. Myself, Officer Hat, and Coda also took part along with CERT members in Campton Open Space Creatures of the Night event, which was held on Friday, October 20th, and then the Campton Open Space Night Hike, which was last Friday because it was rescheduled due to rain. Trick-or-treating was on Halloween, 3 to 7 in town. Again, officers, Coda, CERT members, we went out, patrolled the subdivisions, handed out over 30 pounds of candy. Parents are welcome. Was a huge success besides some cold and snow flurries, but no incidents. And I'm gonna keep stressing this because we get closer and closer. So the Community Relations Committee is working hard on the Holiday in the Hills event, which will be December 2nd here from 3 to 6. Thanks to their hard work, the whole committee, but including more and more, Hampton Hills was one of the communities that was awarded the ComEd Powering the Holiday Grant, which was huge. So I'm excited to see this year there'll be a bunch of new lights on the building and the tree outside. So I'm pretty excited for that. But again, a bunch of great activities, Santa, Miss Claus, Grinch. I think this will be the best one yet. And finally, we had our shooting and de-escalation simulator that was set up for the last 2 weeks. Many people, including the village president, trustees, employees, CERT, Community Relations Committee, CPA members, all took part in it. It was a great experience, everyone enjoyed it, and then the officers got to train on it, so it was a good time. That is it.
Okay, any questions or discussion? I think we're very fortunate to have Lauren Moore as our Chairman of Community Relations. She does a fantastic job. And you took my thunder away, I was gonna talk about that.
Sorry, any warning, sorry.
That's kind of a multi-year effort. That's great.
Yeah.
She's been working on this for a couple of years.
I was helping her with letters and such, but yes. Okay, we have nobody here from Building and Zoning, anything? No? Okay. Moving on to action items. Motion to approve ordinance 23-16, an ordinance amending the Campton Hills Village Code regarding meeting procedures and ad hoc committee creation. Do I have a motion to approve that? Or to not? Moved by trustee Morgan, second, do I have a second?
Second, Muncy.
Okay, second by trustee Muncy. Okay.
Sure, so there are a few proposed amendments here to the village code. This process began because there were discussions to create a technology committee, an ad hoc committee. The village code doesn't have a provision for creating ad hoc committees, so we started with that amendment, and as a result of that, found a couple other small amendments to make. One, including the meeting location to Village Hall, rather than the community center as indicated in the code. So we'll make sure that any public notification that's required is updated as well with regard to the location. There is a slight amendment to the attendance by audio conferencing because the OMA was amended sometime mid-year to allow for unexpected childcare obligations as a remote reason for remote attendance. And I think those were the only additions. Those are the only amendments.
All right. Thank you, Carmen. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question. In the prior meeting we had, you brought up that some communities do the video if a member can't make it, and I understand the Zoom and all that stuff. But rather than at some point in the future, who knows what the future's gonna be, where video is available, then you have to come back and amend the code, isn't it easier, could we just not say audio/video, whatever? I'm just asking as a question. It seems like then we're at least prepared, we don't have to come back and take another kick at the can.
Sure.
Just a question.
So the OMA, in the village code indicates if there are any conflicts with the statute that controls the action that the statute would control. And certainly as a non-home rule community, we can't be any more restrictive. So the way I've seen it interpreted is that it's remote participation. So I did notice that it was just audio.
Yeah, just as audio, I'm just saying.
Right. I assumed that that's
If
kind of
audio
what was
includes
done.
video, I'm good, but I just wanna make sure that we don't have to come back at some point and make a change.
We can revise the ordinance itself because it wouldn't really change the general nature of it. We can make all of the references to audio be audio/video.
That's what I meant.
So it would be the title, there are a couple other places.
All right,
We could provide that to the clerk.
sounds good.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, roll call?
Get that as an amendment, how do you want to do that?
I would make a motion to approve, a second motion to approve the ordinance as amended.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance as amended.
And just withdraw the first motion, just for clarity.
Well, who made
Whoever made the first motion.
I think,
Just
Morgan
Morgan.
did, yeah, Tim.
I second. All right. I withdraw.
Withdraw your motion.
I withdraw my motion.
Now I
Withdraw
got,
second.
now I got a
Okay.
motion on the floor.
Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, all in favor, or, I'm sorry, roll call?
Trustee McAlvey?
Aye.
Trustee Morgan?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Munson?
Aye.
Motion passes. B, motion to create an ad hoc technology committee to address technology for the village. I believe this will be pretty much of a short-term committee, but I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Moved by trustee Morgan?
Yes.
Okay, seconded,
I'll second.
second by trustee Burson. Discussion, questions?
Just one comment about the charge of the committee. I feel like one of the things that is a really important charge that isn't mentioned is cybersecurity. I think that's actually one of the primary rationales for doing this. So I would like to propose that we just make that minor amendment to add cybersecurity to the charge. Just comment on cybersecurity anywhere in that list of things.
Okay, I have a second for that, or do I need a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by trustee Morgan. All right, now all in favor? Or, I'm sorry, roll call. Trustee Muncy, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I just have one more discussion, or one more point I wanted to discuss. Sorry, thanks. One more point I wanted to discuss. I would just recommend that we seek members, specifically seek members for this committee from the public. I know we've put out a blanket, hey, if you want to join any committee, but I think we probably have, some people we would want to consider in our community that have some expertise here, whether it's cybersecurity.
Kim was doing all things by herself.
So a specific ad or something out to the public to say, we're doing this specific committee, and if you feel you can help, please let us know, we'll consider you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee Morgan?
Aye.
Trustee Boatner?
Aye.
Trustee McAlvey?
Aye.
Trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Munson?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. C, motion to approve purchase of a generator for Village Hall Police Department. Would be paid by ARPA funds. I'm going to remove that from the agenda because we have not received the quotes yet. And we'll, trustee McKelvey?
Yeah, just a question. ARPA funds,
Yes.
how much do we have of ARPA funds?
Tim, can you help us with that?
Well, I can't tell you off the top of my head, it's approximately $60,000, but, any money is fungible. You could have taken other expenditures you've already made that have qualified for ARPA and had said those are ARPA funds. Probably the most important matter is that we have enough expenditures to report back to the federal government that we have expended all the ARPA funds we've received. Does that make sense?
I think so.
We'll make sure we're preparing a report and trying to get some of the data that was occurred prior to Tim's or my arriving at the village, and we're gonna do a report because Lauterbach is also helping with that one line or single audit to the federal government for expenditure of the ARPA dollars, and this would be another item that is guaranteed to pass muster with the Commerce Department, so that's why we said, let's use ARPA to draw down whether it's 5288 or it is 60,000 even, it's in that rough category from what we've reviewed.
Okay.
So and we don't believe the generator's gonna be exceeding 20,000, but we'll have to get quotes in writing first.
Thank you.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, the way it's written, it's really, I think Tim said it, at work we've moved ours like 5 times already. It's just realistically that at some point, we need to true up with the amount to prove that it was spent, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not as rigid as some grants have been in the past.
Right. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mark. Okay, we'll move on here. D, motion to approve resolution 23-31, adopting the social media policy. I would ask comment.
Yes, the,
Any-
okay, a second, you need a motion.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by trustee Morgan, second by,
I'll take the second.
second by trustee Millet.
This matter was was brought up at the last meeting. I did attach the prior memo from the October meeting, and there were just minor amendments to the proposed policy that should be attached. Yeah, in section E1 of the first policy, which is on page 49 of the board packet. Are there no numbers? Okay. Do you have the first page of the policy? It's second, third, fourth page of the policy. The discussion in this section is standards for interacting with the public. I believe the first sentence of E1 remained the same, but the second sentence was modified, so it says, when applicable, the village shall not allow public comments to be posted on the village's account for the specific social media platform being utilized. And then it was similarly changed in section E5, second sentence, when applicable, same sentence. The village shall not allow public comments to be posted on the village's account for the specified social media platform being utilized. Everything remained the same. If there are comments allowed, so the follow-up sentence in that section, it indicates that the social media designee for the village should limit the village's response to any comments to providing factual responses to questions posed, providing information for the appropriate department that would be most helpful to the inquiry, to encourage or direct persons interacting with the village's social media accounts to use appropriate resources such as the village's website, or to request a service. So we left it open as a suggestion that you shouldn't have comments when allowed by a social media platform, but when not allowed, to remove the comments or to prevent comments, that the responses should be very generally limited. So that that still allows the village's social media designee to remove comments that do not comply with the policy, so profanity, advertisements, things of such. But it gives the option for the village to determine whether or not you want to allow comments in the first place, if there's control over that. Because some platforms don't allow you control.
Trustee Muncy?
Thank you. I have two general questions. One, has to do with the same page, standards for interacting with public, item E. And this appears elsewhere in this document, I believe, too, but it starts by saying the village clerk and or his or her designate shall monitor the village's social media accounts, and the village clerk, or his or, I assume again should be designee, it's just nothing there, shall respond to citizen inquiries. But then later it goes on to say in E1, employees using the social media accounts, E2, village spokesperson responding. It just seemed like, I'm not clear on who's actually responding. I thought it was going to be the village clerk only, and now I'm seeing employee, I'm seeing village spokesperson, and no employee may comment. Why are employees commenting at all? I thought it was the village clerk. That's my first comment, but the second question, I guess, would negate that in its entirety. I don't see the benefit to our community or our residents to have commenting on our social media sites. I just don't see it, and I think there is a perception that that is beneficial to our residents. Would, bring that to light, because I can't conceptualize why that's a benefit.
Sure. The last meeting, we had some discussion about commenting and allowing commenting, and I believe it's in the memo that I indicated. Our recommendation is typically do not allow it. There are some platforms, and forgive me, I'm not completely familiar with how all the social media platforms work. Probably about 20 years too old, but my understanding is that some platforms you can't turn the comments off. YouTube, for instance, you can turn them off. I believe it's Facebook. You can't turn the comments off at the outset of creating a post. You may be able to turn them off later, but then there could be issues with you've allowed for comments to begin with, and then you shut them off. So it's more of a policy decision, and if the decision is no comments whatsoever, we'll amend the policy to say no comments shall be received from the public, and probably nor made by the village on a post. Sometimes you'll have there'll be an error in a post, and the village will want to provide a comment on that particular post to clarify the error. What I'd recommend is to delete the post, create a new post. You'd retain the first post because it's a Local Record Act requirement, but it keeps that commenting issue closed.
I think Trustee McCalvey is next.
Yeah, I just go back to your first paragraph, and when, I went through this and had caught the one that I had caught where we're mixing employees and clerks and a spokesperson, so that's confusing, but I'm in the camp that says we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't, I liked your third sentence or whatever it was, or it might be the fourth sentence that says it is our recommendation. We also have we had a lawyer here before, I forgot her name, Julie, and I'm not saying she was an expert in this area, but I think she's pretty much considered somewhat of an expert in this area, and she basically said, back when I said, what about Facebook? She said, don't even talk. Kill it. Kill it. Don't let it live. And I hate to say it, but that's where I am. We're opening up a can of worms, and we're going to divide the community over stuff, and and even if we respond to something that's not true, we say that's not true, they say, yeah, but you're government, you always lie. We're just going to get into a contest that can't be won, and it's just not worth the fight.
Yeah, there's definitely a happy medium where providing information to the public on social media, there's a benefit. It can be very difficult, and those are the types of issues that unfortunately we tend to deal with when you have things removed, you have questions about certain comments, and it's hard on certain platforms.
And then you also said, which you said, basically if they want to comment on anything, info.com or whatever the email is, please, we want to hear those comments, or come in person or send an email. That's great. Those comments we want to collect and gather, but just having something come out there, I think we're asking for a tough time.
Thank you, Jim. I think Trustee Burson is next, and then we'll go to you.
I don't agree when it comes to restricting public comment on Facebook, and I would encourage people to consider that communication is communication, and it really shouldn't particularly matter whether someone chooses to communicate with the village here, coming to make a public comment in person, whether they choose to make their public comment on the live stream of this meeting or on the YouTube, that we posted this meeting. If someone wants to make a public comment about either our meeting or about a post that we make, if we tell people that we want to hear from them, then I think we would want to hear from them across the board, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to me that we would suggest that public comment that comes to us via social media is inherently inferior or inherently divisive or inherently more difficult to manage than any other type of public comment. I've sat in prior meetings where public comment was made and there was a dialogue that then ensued from the chair to the people making the public comments. It was not a good look for the village, and just as it would not be if we got into a back and forth like that on Facebook. And so the issue for me is the back and forth that might ensue over the issue, and not the venue in which it happens. So when someone comes and makes a public comment here, if it's inflammatory to us in some way or we don't agree with it or something, we say thank you for your comment and we move on with our business. And I'm not sure why we can't effectively manage social media comments in a similar way.
I think Trustee Boatner was next. Get to you, Mike.
Yeah, the public comments on the social media posts, I wasn't as concerned about, just because of the fact that we're setting the tone. The topics that we're going to be posting about are going to be announcements, times, events, anything that would be very polarizing or confrontational or whatever would likely be off topic and would be removed. But really the comments too were actually less important to me if they were available or not. It was that messaging ability, a way, a simple and easy, clear path of communication to the village, even that private messaging that social media would allow residents to do. But I would be less concerned about commenting. But at the same time, if we do this, it's like anything new. You can always start simple and get the social media up and operational, add comments later, take comments away. Potentially, if it becomes something overwhelming, it's taking on a whole new venture, really. It's like a whole new department, managing social media, potentially. And this is definitely going to evolve. So, we can try to anticipate what's going to happen, and really by looking at what are the potential risks, what are the negatives, and trying to foresee those, I think is the smartest thing. And I guess the potential negatives, it's kind of hard to really envision what they would be when we're posting general. The intention is to give updates and keep the community abreast of positive things happening in the community. The message on our social media is going to be positive. So I guess I just have a hard time envisioning where cutting out the comments, where that's, hedging any real liability. Attorney, maybe you could give me what type of things would someone be commenting about that could create litigation and liability on our social media? What's going to be out there?
Sure. The biggest thing is First Amendment issues, and we've seen claims for removed comments, for restriction of comments by a particular individual, maybe on a first violation. The biggest thing is really managing the accounts. Comments, whether there are comments or not allowed, it can be a significant task for at least one individual, if not a couple individuals, to manage the pages themselves, what's being posted. But when you add on, even if the policy is to not respond to any comments, reviewing every single one to make sure that it doesn't violate the 8 or 9 different provisions in the social media policy for improper comments. And then making that determination whether it should be removed and retained, or it should just remain. There, at some points, will be interaction with other staff, there will be interactions with village attorney, unfortunately, to make a determination whether or not. I can't give a general rule as to, what most communities do, because it's a very good mix. Some are very, very engaged with responding to comments, some are very engaged, with reviewing them internally, and they have a good staff and backups to work on that. And some just kind of let it go. And there can be a lot of comments going back and forth that may not be appropriate, but we don't have manpower to review them. So.
Trustee Millette, and then to you.
I think that would be my concern. I was thinking absolutely no, but then to your point, I think you're right, it's not that much different than here in the public space. I think the difference here, the public space here is 7 to 8:30, 7 to 9 on a Tuesday. So I think my concern is staff time, honestly. And I mean, there's a couple ways you can go about that. You can start no and try it on a couple of targeted posts to see how those go, or you can go the other way around and see if how fast or not it takes the clerk to yell uncle on if it starts, because our town where I work, we're 23,000 people, and we've got a person and a half that are our comms folks, and that takes at times a significant amount of their effort, and sometimes it's nothing. But you'd be surprised sometimes on what's the friendly post that may trigger some irrational response that then requires moderation. So that's the key, is how long the stuff would be up, how fast we could respond to it. So I'm not sure which way we want to go that. I don't know if it's something that Mark could look at to see if we, what we would have for staff availability for maybe a pilot or something like that, if we all want to give that a shot. Or the other thing would be, the standard would be to get more specifics from what the neighbors are doing, and how much time has it taken, Village G's staff or whatever to manage the, and I think your point, Trustee Boatner, yeah, at the beginning, it might be the hardest part, because at some point it'll be routine and people, just okay, that's the update, fine, I'll move on. But then there's some people that still have to kind of, but they're usually not always behind.
Trustee Morgan's next.
In my experience managing multiple Facebook accounts, Instagram accounts, Twitter, LinkedIn, it's not going to go away. We need to be involved in some format. I do agree that we need to start small, work our way up. There are several different controls that can be used in all the platforms to limit, slow down, do whatever you need to do to be able to take care of that. But I agree with Trustee Boatner and several others that we need to have a presence there to be able to promote our community in a positive way. One bad comment is not going to end this positive community. So I agree to go forward.
Let me get back to Trustee Muncy, and then we'll get back to you.
I would just ask everybody, I would just ask everybody to just remember the purpose of this. And I think Trustee Morgan stated it quite well, that we want to utilize these platforms to get information out there, to involve people, to show them that these meetings are occurring, to allow them to live stream these meetings. But then, to your point, Trustee Boatner, the comments wouldn't only be directed at our curated posts that are very positive. They could potentially be just live while the meeting's going on. And I would say that people are more apt, from my experience, what I can see, more apt to make negative, off-the-cuff type statements in a social media platform when they're at home and they're doing whatever they want to do, and they may not even be using their real name or account, versus coming here and actually trying to make a productive comment, whether they're angry or happy or whatever. And for those people that can't make it here, I respect that there's some people that can't, but that's why we would have a means for providing, contact, getting to the village in a responsible manner. We get back to that person then, So there's a way to work with the village on this, just making off-the-cuff comments while a live meeting is going. I go back to what I said originally. I understand that, that maybe some places do it. I don't see the benefit. I mean, I do see the benefit of getting this out there, making sure that people have access to our meetings, have access to, you know, to us. At first, let's see how it goes without comments. I just don't think it's necessary. And I think it does raise what will be, even if we have staff or whatever, that's fine. We're gonna involve legal. We're gonna involve legal to review these things, and we're gonna incur costs when we start reviewing comments, especially if we wanna start taking comments down, or if we wanna start responding, because the comments are just so flagrantly false at some point. If we wanna do that, now we're got more legal expenses. I just don't think it's necessary.
One more, trustee Burson, and then Jim, I'll come back to you. Trustee Burson?
I am sensitive to the notion that, you know, us laid plans can go out of control and can end up costing money and leading to resource, you know, expenditures that weren't anticipated. However, from where we are today, I don't see an avalanche of public engagement happening overnight just because we were to allow public comment on our YouTube page or something, for example. At this moment, how many people do we have looking at our YouTube videos?
I've been recording the meetings since February 7th. There's been one comment on YouTube to date on one video, and it was positive, and it was somebody thanking me for doing it. Also, the village did start to live stream on their Facebook for a while. I've never seen a comment on any of those at all. So
And
no one's commented.
how many people have liked or followed the village's Facebook page?
Oh, the Facebook page? I really couldn't tell you.
We're talking tens of people, not hundreds of people.
No, not
or
even
thousands, right?
hundreds.
So, I mean, it feels to me in a way like it would almost be a good problem to have, like a good problem to try and figure out how to say no to, if you had so many people engaged in your social media efforts that you had to, you know, develop a strategy to kind of bat them away. I understand that happens in other places, but I don't think that we're anywhere close to having that critical mass of followers where it's going to involve a significant amount of staff work. I'm more sensitive to Trustee Muncie's concern about the legal expenditures that may arise from even a single misstep. And I understand it's a risk, but I think it's a risk worth taking if we manage it carefully.
Trustee McCallum?
I don't want to sound redundant, but I think the goal should be communication to the public. I think we're all for that. That's the question, if you want to get that feedback and then have someone give feedback back. And I wrote down the word money pit. That's my concern. Because right now on FOIAs, for example, somebody gets a FOIA, and guess who they eventually call? How do I answer this? What do I have to cross out here? Well, we have to ask legal. And I'm just very concerned that we're just opening up a can of worms that's not necessary. The goal is great. I mean, I want us to communicate, but I just don't see us getting these comments. I just think we should walk before we even attempt to run. So I can't support comments coming in.
Okay, Trustee Millette?
Okay, being like Carmen of the age of where my first was Genie's server and CompuServe, and having moderated some Civil War boards back in the day, the question I think that could make this easier work. Some of these things have auto moderation for words that you put in specifically. The 7 George Carlin 7 words and whatever. Not necessarily worried about a straight "I hate you, village, you suck" type of thing. That I'm not worried about. The point is, if we moderate if it's an auto moderation on a swear word, profanity, or other, pornographic, other stuff that people, other than being rickrolled, put into comments that put links. I mean, we could simply say no links in comments or something. I think there's a way maybe we can get to this.
There's filters.
Yeah, the filters. So maybe we could look at passing the policy and just doing one thing first and see how that goes as a trial, and then report back. You know, start with just the, you know, YouTube or something like that, and see if it does become an issue or not. I'd be concerned if we, I mean, things that aren't moderatable, like Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, that's probably, that would take way too much time, I'm thinking, but maybe some of the simpler stuff, especially if we're talking about announcements, Facebook or YouTube or something like that, that might be worth it, but I'd like a roadmap or a small little plan on how we think we could pull this off before we would say yes. That's my thought.
Anybody else? Go ahead, trustee Muncy.
Thank you. Just one final. I've heard a lot of discussion about the potential risks. I know that may not happen because we won't get that much traffic or whatever else. We've discussed the potential risk quite a bit, but I still haven't heard the real benefit that would outweigh that risk. I haven't heard the potential benefit and why we need a lot of comment.
Okay, one more comment.
Very
Trustee
simply.
Person.
Communication is a two-way street, and if we want people to listen to us, they need to believe that we're listening to them. And I think it really is that simple. And it's one of the things that's powerful about social media. It's one of the reasons that it's exploded. It's one of the reasons that people love it. So to the extent that I asked the question earlier, why do we treat it as different? It's one of the ways that it is different. And you can find a dark side to that, but it can also be very positive. And I think we're going to get more engagement with our community if we let them speak rather than us just speaking to them.
Okay, we're gonna move on. How about roll call? Ready to vote?
I think there were a number of amendments that were
Yeah.
requested too, so, I think if someone wants to table the issue or motion, we can do both, we can both make the minor changes that were requested regarding who has access, and then, we can also work with staff about polling communities.
I'll move to table.
Okay, move to table.
Second.
Second by trustee Willett.
We'll bring it back.
Okay. Good discussion though.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All right, moving on to E, motion to approve purchase of a 2023 Dodge Durango Police Department patrol vehicle. Take a motion.
So moved.
Moved by trustee Willett, second by trustee Morgan.
You turned the light on.
Okay, trustee Morgan, trustee Millette, okay. Okay, discussion?
I'm just surprised that, Chief, you were able to find a vehicle with all of the chip problems. And I do know that Squad 12, you've been putting a lot of money in lately. So it's good to see another vehicle added to the fleet.
Okay, trustee
Yeah,
McCallum.
just for clarity, this is part of the regular rotation.
It is. I have a couple things I'd like to say on it.
Please.
Okay.
So I know it was brought up, and I respect it, but there's a couple of things I want to bring up with this, is like kudos to the village, because the village board has been this way on the 5-year replacement plan. Trustee Morgan just hit it on the nose. So last year, we ordered a Ford Explorer at the beginning of the year. Ford waited 8 months into that process, called us and said, hey, you and about 300 other municipalities, you no longer have a Ford Explorer. Sorry, go find a car somewhere else. We scrambled to do it. This one fell into our lap, pure luck. So Galena Chrysler, I reached out to them. They said, sorry, we're sold out. We don't have any more. 2 weeks later, the gentleman reached out to me. He said, you know what? Another agency decided against it. They left their 3 cars on the lot. If you want one, you can have it at the state bid that was in the beginning of the year, so it costs no more money. And I do respect, but what I want to bring up is pertaining to the chief's car that's sitting out there in the parking lot. That's no different than any other municipality. A chief of police is given a patrol car. That is what they're given. I don't care if the agency's small or big. I understand at the time it's sitting out there. But in order for us to use that car as a fleet vehicle, I'm still gonna have to ask the village to put another $18,000 into that car because it has no safety equipment in it. There's no cage, there's no gun racks, there's no anything in it. So it's still gonna cost the village money. So my suggestion, I appreciate it, keep doing what you guys do, because 2 of our squad cars out there right now have over 100,000 miles on them. And to put that in perspective, that's about 300,000 miles on your personal car, is what that is. Those cars run 24 hours a day. That's an officer's office out there. So I appreciate it, but yes, it is very much needed.
Thank you, Chief. Any other comments?
It's just, if I can say that trying to get any car today is hard to get, even for the public, but I do know that several police departments have had to move into going into trucks because the sport utilities are no longer available and there are no sedans, so great job.
All right, any other comments? Okay, roll call.
Trustee Millet?
No, Mr. Morgan, I said it.
Aye.
Trustee Morgan? Or trustee Millet?
Aye.
Trustee Bodnar?
Aye.
Trustee Burson?
Aye.
Trustee McKelvey?
Aye.
Trustee Munson?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes, thank you. All right, current discussion items, November 21st is our next scheduled meeting. Hopefully you can all be here, it is the week of Thanksgiving. So, I know I have talked to a few of you.
Are you cooking dinner?
I always cook dinner. All right, and then 10 additional items from president, trustees, or attorney. I just have a couple of short things, good news things. Home Snacks, which it combines recent data from the Census, FBI, Open Streets map, and other sources, have announced the safest of the safe for 2023, and Campton Hills, Illinois is number 1. Very, thank you to our police department, absolutely. And then, yeah, go ahead.
If you would, share what Alex has told you about people calling in and looking to purchase homes here for some of that very reason.
Oh, they're calling from actually out of the state, like from the East Coast, because they're doing their homework. And they're seeing that we're just a wonderful community and no tax levy for your real estate taxes. And the safety in our police department, I think, is number 1. So we're very proud of that. All right, and then lastly, I'd like to thank Alex in our permitting department and Officer Cusick for helping settle a neighbor issue in the northern section of our village. They both had superior negotiation ability and listening skills to mediate a successful resolution, and everything is settled and everybody's pretty much happy now. So thank you again to our police department and to Alex and our zoning department. So trustees have any comments, or our attorney, Carmen?
Just one minor thing, on the next agenda, I will have a memo with summary and recommendations on the village's compliance with the Paid Leave for All Workers Act. There's been a lot of activity in the last couple of weeks, not much at the legislative level as we had hoped, but there have been some model ordinances floating around. You may have seen the IML opinion. We prepared our own opinion with similar reasoning, but same result. But I'd like to discuss it with the board, and I'll have a template ordinance as well that we can review. We can have it up for discussion, and then probably approve it in our December meeting, if that's what the board's direction is.
Okay, thank you, Carmen. Anything else? Okay, we do need a closed session, short closed session, so I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees or contractors, litigation that is filed and pending or is probable or imminent, semi-annual review of closed session minutes. Moved by trustee Muncy, second by trustee Morgan.
No, I made the motion.
You were first, okay. Trustee Morgan, second? I'll take a second. Second by trustee Millette. All in favor, say aye.
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 I would like to.
Hi, Mark.
Have you met Mike yet? This is Tom. President of Nebraska. People bugging us